My name is Emily Noblin, and today we're going to discuss crisis communication, specifically talking to stakeholders during a crisis. So, what is a crisis? In relation to a corporation, a crisis is defined as an event, situation, or public initiative that threatens the company's ability to effectively operate its business. Communicating with stakeholders is one way to mitigate damage during a corporate crisis. A stakeholder is any person, organization, social group, or society at large that has a stake in the business. So who are stakeholders? Well, stakeholders can be employees or anyone else paid by the company, the public or customers or opinion leaders, vendors or regulators, or investors. Today, let's focus on communicating with employees during a corporate crisis. According to Andrea Obstin, president of Andrea Obstin Marketing Communications, LLC, an adjunct professor at Quinnipiac University, there are 5 basic steps to communicating with employees during a crisis. Rule number 1. Treat employees as your most important stakeholders when you plan for a crisis and during the crisis itself. Rule number 2. Distribute a media and social media procedure memo as your first step in any crisis. This memo should clarify how you want employees to handle anybody in the media. It directs them to send all media calls to one specific person and cautions them not to speak to any member of the media. Rule number 3. Post all materials you send to stakeholders in a central location employees can access. These materials could include press releases, fact sheets, or letters to customers and those affected by the crisis. Let employees know when you've updated these materials. Rule number 4. Allow your employees to vent. Any employee who cares about where she works will feel personally assaulted by a crisis. Managers must allow employees to vent those feelings. This is one of the most important rules when it comes to communicating with employees and stakeholders. And rule number 5, give employees a role in recovery. Your post-crisis actions will be critical to recovery. That's when it's time to take back your reputation with the support and help of your employees. Now let's look at an example of one company's failure and success to communicate with their employees during a crisis. Cisco Systems faced crisis in 2011 and 2016. When an earthquake and subsequent tsunami struck Japan in 2011, Cisco personnel struggled to reach their employees with timely information. It took more than a week for HR staff to locate all of its area employees and make sure they were safe. Following the devastation in Japan, the company implemented a sophisticated emergency notification system through which HR can contact workers through various modes of communication. Employees can respond to any of the notifications, and the system helps HR quickly identify anyone who needs help. So, in 2016, after terrorist bombs ripped through a metro station and airport in Brussels, leaders at Cisco Systems were ready. They were able to account for the company's 150-plus employees in the area within 24 hours, and thankfully, everyone was safe. Now Cisco's leaders have a plan in place for providing updates to employees. It may have taken a natural disaster to come to the realization, but Cisco Systems now understands how important their employees and their safety can be during a crisis. As David Ogilvy once said, our company's greatest asset goes down the elevator every night. Make sure you include those assets in dealing with and recovering from a crisis. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you were able to learn a little bit more about crisis communication, stakeholders, and the importance of employees as stakeholders to corporations during a crisis.